All right. Hey, everyone. So we're going to finish up chapter 4, part 4 today, and we're going to be talking about the presentation of self. And so even though for the most part I'm a macro sociologist, I like to focus on institutions. Presentation of self is one of my favorite sections, and I really just enjoy discussing and kind of, thinking and processing, what does it mean to be you? And what does that look like? And so I really enjoy this section. And so when we're talking about the development of self, one of the famous and well-known theorists would be Goffman. And so in being a social symbolic interactionist, Goffman believes that everything is based on your interactions, and that we all create meanings from these interactions. And so what he coined, and we talked a little bit at chapter 1 about this, he coined this idea of dramaturgy. And so where he compares all social interaction to theater, and individuals take on roles and act them out for particular audiences. Sorry, I didn't know I spilled something. And so he has a few concepts that you'll need to know that focus on this idea of dramaturgy. And so for him, everything is theater, right? And so he feels like we have roles, right? We behave in a particular way according to our audience. So for example, my students are one of my audiences. My mother is an audience. My daughter, my husband, that I change depending on what audience I have. Right, and so the other thing he talks about stages, sets, where you're at the location, how that impacts your role and your interaction with your audience. And you make use of props or scripts. So everything is based on our, what we're doing, and that creates meaning. He also says that we have a front stage and we have a backstage. And so our front stage is when we're performing in front of a particular audience. So for example, me with you, my students right now, I am in a front stage. Once I turn off the camera, I will be in the backstage. But then I step outside into the hallway with my colleagues and I'm in a front stage again. And so I'm always going to be moving from front stage to backstage. And so backstage is when when actors retreat from the performance. And so it'd be the performance with that particular audience, right? And so I guess it'd be interesting to think. And so Goffman would argue that because of this, that we would have no true self. That because we're constantly changing depending on the audience, do we have a real self if it's constantly being shifted? Some of my students would be like, well, yes, when you're by yourself, that's your true self, and I guess it depends, right? I don't know. Things to think about. So the other important concept to know here is impression management. Goffman saw life as a game in where we're constantly working and trying to protect how people view us. And so we want to manage people's impression of us. And so we work on trying to, think about when you're trying to impress somebody. So if you're going on a first date, if you're meeting your partner's parents, if you have an interview, that's a really good one, right? You're going to get dressed up, you're going to do your hair, you're going to do your makeup, speak correctly, really you want to make the best impression, right? And that's impression management, and we do it all the time. And so I really like this concept. Costumes. And so every day we get started by getting dressed for the most part, and that's a crucial part of impression management, right? In that how we dress has something about us, and we're going to dress in the best way possible. And so furthermore with this is that what we wear is going to reveal a lot about us. And so it's going to talk about what class we're in, right? What subculture are we associated? Maybe sexuality, interests, and politics or ideas, right? And so right now we have the MAGA hat, Right? That is a expression of politics. So what you wear says something. If I see that hat, I automatically have an idea, have an assumption, have a stereotype of what that means, right? If you see somebody with a Tesla, those are notes, social notes that we pick up. We're like, okay, well, they have money. They got some money. And so these are the things, our costumes, our clothing says something about us. And that we pick up on it. We pick up on social cues. If someone has a Louis Vuitton bag or something like that, all those things are a part of our identity, is a part of how people view us, whether that's good or bad, but it's how people view us. And we're for the most part, very much aware of that, right? Or with subculture, I have a lot of students that wear like rock bands or maybe hip hop artists or different things on their clothing. And I can already know, oh, okay, so they like so-and-so. Okay. And so that's just something like I'm learning in that process, And so clothing is very important. So it's definitely a way to make a statement, right? All right, audience segregation. And so because we have all these different roles and we're trying to manage all these impressions of different groups, for us, it's really important. He saw that people try to segregate their audience. So people really didn't want to intermingle groups. So for example, your friends with your family, you're going to act a different way with your friends because you're going to be more relaxed and maybe you're cussing and all these different things compared to your family. Sometimes that's not the case. Some families don't care if you're cussing and different things. Some very much do. And then maybe you have college friends. Maybe you have from grad school, and these people know specific contexts, right? And so it's really important to kind of keep them segregated. They're gonna be like, whoa, that's a little different. I didn't know that side of her. And so I'll talk about my experience, and that was really because I grew up in a working class neighborhood. Gangs were very prevalent. I grew up with most of my friends being in gangs, and a lot of my friends still are in gangs, and maybe our relationship isn't that close anymore, but it is what it is, right? And so I have high school friends that are mainly gang affiliated. I have my college grad friends that know me more from an activist social movement perspective because I was an organizer. And then I have my college graduate friends who knows me as an intellectual, right? And now as a professor, right? And that all these people, all these groups from my life. And then I have mom friends now, and then all these people know me from a particular context. And it would be very hard to get everyone together and try to act one way, right? And so it'd be much easier to keep these audiences segregated. And we can see this online, right? And so it's because on Facebook I have 1,500 friends, and I have them going from elementary school, all the way to my graduate school, and having to interact with people that don't have the same ideas. And now I have to kind of facilitate this online space, right? All these different things. And so online, it's hard because you can't segregate it. So now you have your conservative uncle who's arguing with, this academic on whatever topic, and so those things make it hard to manage your roles and your statuses and things like that. So interesting things. Those are all things to kind of think about. And so I guess, just kind of reflect on, so do you segregate your audiences? How would some of your audiences feel if they interacted with your other audiences, and what would they think of you? Would they judge you for having so-and-so friend? I don't know, right? Those are all things to think about. Okay, that wraps up chapter 4. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day. I hope everything is going well for this module. Email me if you have any questions.